Hi, today I'm going to do a little demonstration on Carbide tool. Somebody wanted to see that, and faceplate, and I'm going to try and clear up a little bit more about sanding, and not just with the paste wax, but just sanding in general and how to get a good finish. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, I'm going to start out with faceplates here. Here's a 3-inch and a 6-inch. Normally the problem with them is that they waste wood. You have to glue your workpiece to this to get it to stay on it, and you just screw this onto your headstock. But you can get around that. Just put a waste block on it, just like I do in a 4-jaw chuck. I put a waste block in there, and then I hot glue my workpiece to that, so I'm not wasting any wood on a lot of things. The hot glue, make sure it's nice and hot. You won't have a problem with it. It will hold. It'll bust this before the glue will separate. So you just take that, screw it onto there, and then glue your workpiece onto that. And you can turn bowls, boxes, anything you can do with the chuck, you can do with the faceplate. It just takes some more time and a little more work, but you can get around that with just putting a waste block on. So I hope that cleared that up. Just screw your wood right to that. Okay, let's move on. I'll show you how the tool cuts, and then I'll sand it, and we can work on that part of it. Okay, this is just a piece of maple I was working on the other day, so I'll show you how it cuts. And you can lay it flat down on its side. I'm not sure, they make round ones like this too. I'm not sure if they recommend turning the square ones up on its side, but it actually cuts very well that way, and I'll show you that. You can just put it right in there. Makes a nice clean cut. Use it basically like you're using a scraper. You can turn it up on its side. Go down the other way. Just nice fine little shavings. And you can see it makes a nice clean cut. And I'll turn around and zoom in a little bit. I'll zoom in so you can see that. Okay, and you can also use it to hollow out. And this wood's completely dry, and you can see nice little shavings off of it. So basically, makes a pretty nice clean cut. You're going to get a lot cleaner cut with a bowl gouge or spindle gouge, but you're going to get a lot less catches with this too, and you can hollow it out. Just basically use it like a scraper. You can get different tips. You can get a square tip or diamond tip. Once it gets dull, you just loosen up the screw, rotate it, tighten it back up, and then when it's done, you can just replace the tip. So that's nice, and they're fairly inexpensive too. Okay, let's go ahead and sand this up. Okay, so I'm not sure if the camera was on or not, and I started sanding. So this was pretty rough. I'm going to start out with 100 grit. You need to, with the 100 grit, get out all the little tear outs, all the little defects, all the tool marks with this before you move on. So that's all I'm going to do is get all of that out before I move on to the next grit. Okay, then what you need to do is inspect it. Take an air compressor over and blow it out if you need to make sure you have all little defects out in it. Okay, so I'm going to move on to 150, and all I'm doing is sanding out the 100 grit scratches that are left in it. Ideally, I had this perfect. All the tear outs and everything are gone. The tool marks are sanded out. So all this sandpaper here is doing is sanding out the 100 grit scratches. If you want a silky smooth finish, you need to, make sure that that's clean as you work up. So many times I've got to 220 or 320 and there's still a defect in it, and I have to go over and start over. So you're not going to sand out with 320 a tear out or something. It'll take you forever. So I've had to start over many times. So just inspect it as you go and make sure that you're getting all the scratches out. And you can actually see them. Get an air compressor, blow out the pores or whatever. You can tell the difference between a 100 grit scratch and a 220 grit scratch. It shows up pretty well. Then I move on to 180. It's the same thing if you're dry sanding or sanding with the oil or wax or anything else. You have to get the scratches out as you go. And this is 220. This is 320. Also, I forgot to mention, turn it around, reverse it. That stands the grain back up. So just go back and forth. I forgot to mention that. Turned off, turn it the other direction. Sand the grain down this way. This is 400. And I'm just finishing up with 600, right? And turn the speed up. Off it up. Want to take the air compressor and blow all the wax and everything out of it? You can. Alright, now let's come in here. Can you see that? Hopefully this is showing up good. And you'll be able to see if there's any little tear outs in it. That's basically it. Just make sure you go through the grits and make sure you get each one cleaned out as you go. All right, so the carbide cutter, pretty straightforward. Basically like a scraper. But it does make a nice clean cut. You can replace the tips on it too, which is nice. So I hope that there's not a whole lot to that. But the sanding is just get in there on that first grit and make sure you get all little tear outs, because once you get up in the grit, you're not going to be able to get them out. It'll take you forever and you just get frustrated. So get them out on that first grit. If you want to go down to 80 or something, if you have really bad ones, to get them cleaned out, just do that. You're going to be much happier as you get up there. But after that, you're just sanding scratches is all you're doing. So hope all that helped. And the faceplate thing, just screw a waste block on it, just like I put in the chuck, and saves good wood. But thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.